All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today for the Regional Arts Commission of St. Louis Town Hall. We're very excited that everyone is joining us today. We'll certainly have some folks that will be coming in last minute, and that's okay. Just know that we will be recording all of this, and we will post it to our YouTube page. We will post it to our website. So if you have to duck out early, no big deal. We will gladly post that for you. Also, just to let you know, we have a question and answer box that you should see. So if you have any questions along the way, please type that in and we will gladly try to answer it in real time. And if not, then we can save it to the end and get your answers to all your wonderful questions. So my name is Jay Scherter. I am the Communications Senior Manager here at the Regional Arts Commission of St. Louis. Normally, Vanessa Cooksey would be right here, but Vanessa is under the weather today. She is very regretfully cannot attend, but you know what? We're pushing forward anyway because we have a lot of great people here at RAC that are more than happy to tell you about all the things that are happening. So again, thank you so much for joining. I'm going to toss it to our Vice President of Growth and Development, Angie Peters, who will take it from here. Angie.
Thank you, Jay. Good morning, everybody. We are so thrilled that you joined us this morning. It may be rainy outside, but y'all are bringing the sunshine, so thank you so much. I joined the RAC team in March of 2023, so if I haven't had an opportunity to meet you yet, I know I can't see all of you, but I'm excited to be joining you this morning. Not excited for the reason. We certainly are sending Vanessa our good vibes out there so that she feels better soon. If you've been attending town halls, I know my first town hall with RAC was before I joined the team in February of last year. And if you've been joining RAC town halls, I think we've been having them since 2020. So thank you. And if this is your first one, welcome. We are looking forward to sharing some good information this morning. It's been, like I said, since last February, since there was a town hall. So our goals this morning really are to share with you kind of what's been happening at RAC since that time and to kind of give you a look ahead into what's going to happen in 2025. I know I not only speak for Vanessa, but the entire RAC team when I say it is an absolute pleasure and honor to work with our commissioners. They are so committed to the RAC mission, again, as is the whole staff team. So it's a true collaborative partnership. Roz Johnson is serving as our chair of the commission for 2024, and we're so excited about this. Roz serves as the senior VP and chief people officer for Build-A-Bear Workshop, headquartered here in St. Louis. And her theme for us this year has to do with possibilities. So, you know, you'll hear some of that as a theme throughout what we're going to share this morning as well. We also welcomed Angela Williams in 2023, and Angela comes from the county, and Rob Arbuthnot, who came from the city. So we're thrilled that they've joined and they are doing amazing work with us as well. Please check out their bios on the RAC website if you want to know a little bit more about them. All right, so let's dig in a little bit. What's been happening at RAC since we last had a town hall? Well, last October, we had Cultura. And if you were able to join, which I hope you were, it was a vibe. It was a lot of fun. It was a great convening. We had an opportunity to bring so many people together from the arts space, the arts sector, the world in St. Louis last year. We joined at COCA. And what we really intended and were able to do through Cultura was to share a couple of major studies that we had been working on. So one we do with the Americans for the Arts. And so Nolan Bivens, the president at the time of AFTA, was able to join and really help disseminate the Arts and Economic Prosperity Study, which is the sixth one we've done. So we've been working with AFTA to release this data for the last 30 years. So a lot of great information. And then Creatives Count used to be Artists Count. And we worked with our national partner, Wolf Brown, to release all of that information, and had some great panel discussions. So if you were able to attend, those panel discussions are definitely worth watching again and available on RAC's website. And if you weren't able to attend, please watch them. Also, all the data is still available on RAC's website, and very important for us to be using throughout the sector to help all businesses and all folks in our region, certainly, as well as nationally, understand the economic impact of the arts overall. All right. Okay, so last year also into early 2024, we really worked to convene a group of internal stakeholders and commissioners and really do a study on what we were going to do with 6128 Del Mar, and also looked externally for some great stakeholders and community members to give advice and feedback and that kind of thing. So we did decide to sell the building. We put it on the market last fall, sold earlier this year. And so we have moved our offices to CIC. And really the purpose of being at CIC, we're a permanently hybrid workforce. So it gives us an opportunity to come together sometimes, use, office space, that kind of thing, have maybe some meetings and convenings, bring our commissioners together when we need to. And then we have a City Foundry location. So RAC at City Foundry is really to give access for ARPA for the Arts work that we're doing to help people come in and get their questions answered. When we were doing some of the work earlier last year and into this year to disseminate some of the funds, it gave people, again, just a really good access point to our staff. It also will have some good surprises coming soon, and so look for those. And then we also are looking for you all to use the space at City Foundry. So if you have questions about that or you are interested, you can reach out to Tracy Morgan with the ARPA for the Arts team, or reach out to anybody at RAC, and we're happy to answer your questions. Okay, I do want to share just real quickly about 6128 too. The proceeds of the sale of that building, just in case you're wondering, we are holding on to. We are putting them in an endowment of sorts, so holding them in a fund that we are not going to be spending, and it will be, sort of the savings for the long term for RAC. So wanted to make sure you all were aware of that too. And now I'm going to kick it over to Jay Scherter so he can talk a little bit about our work in cultural tourism.
All right. Thank you, Angie. It's been a really exciting year plus for cultural tourism. So our social media, if you're not following our social media, I would please advise you to do so on Instagram and on Facebook. We've made some really great strides of how many people we are reaching now through these platforms. RAC, our mission, is to promote, foster, and encourage the arts in St. Louis City and St. Louis County. And we decided that we needed to create something that truly highlighted all of the arts in St. Louis, not just some of the arts, but all of the arts. So that's why we created stlouisarts.org. We call it our tourism arm. Basically, we're trying to get people locally and from other states, even other countries, to come to St. Louis to experience the really unique and amazing things that we have to offer in this city. So we launched this in April 2023, and we started with a national marketing campaign. We targeted many markets across the United States that we know are people that do come and stay in hotels here in St. Louis, thanks to data provided by our friends over at Explore St. Louis, but also markets that we felt needed to be touched, needed to be part of the mix because they're close and we know they're art-minded towns. So far, and this is very exciting, so far we've had 500,000 people visit our website since our launch in April 2023. Just for some perspective, last year we had 124,000 people visit it between April 2023 and December 2023. The rest of the 500,000 has just come this year. We are picking up a lot of steam, and a lot of folks are seeing this website, which includes a lot of our grantees. That's something we focus very hard on, is really highlighting our grantees and lifting them up and lifting up our artists. So, this has, again, led to a lot of really amazing things, and we're going to continue to grow it. And what the hope is this leads to something that puts us on the national scene. Forbes, New York Times, Washington Post, People Magazine have all featured St. Louis in regards to the arts in the last year. Now, we're not the only ones, helping that. Music at the Intersection was in People Magazine for the great work they're doing. Explore St. Louis has worked very hard to cater to national journalists to get them to experience the arts in St. Louis. So we're hopeful that stlouisarts.org is another piece of that puzzle. And something we just launched that's really exciting is our Find Your Vibe feature. We've been working on this thing for months. It is a completely new search tool to really help you figure out what it is you want to do. We know people come in from out of town and they like music. They have no idea where to find it, so we created a tool to help them do that. They like theater. Well, what kind of theater? Do you like Broadway, off-Broadway, small, dramatic, in your face, gritty, funny? We can help you find your vibe. So we're really excited about that. And I'm going to show you just a quick video of part of the marketing campaign that we are doing this year. And I just want to applaud Jason Shipkowski, our communications manager, who did such an amazing job putting that video together. I get goosebumps every time I see it. And yeah, we're just really excited to continue this campaign and continue telling people across the country and locally that St. Louis is an arts town. St. Louis has something for everyone, and it's time to make a visit. So with that, I'm now going to kick it back to Angie to talk about our Arts and Health Symposium coming this fall.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. RAC is a firm believer in the healing power of the arts, and this Arts and Health Symposium that we are going to host on October 21 and 22 yet this year is inspired in part by some work that Arts KC has been doing with Susan Magsamen and some research. She's the co-author of a book called Your Brain on Art. If you haven't checked it out, it is really worth the read. There's some amazing research, data, and great information in there about the things that we all know, which is what great things happen when we're engaged in the arts, including you'll live longer. So look at us. We're convening this international symposium. Really, we've got some speakers that are national, international. We really encourage you to come because it's going to be stellar. The research and the information that you're going to hear about where arts and health intersect is going to help all of us continue to do great work, not only in the region, but beyond. So registration does open on June 17th. There's a nominal fee. We really hope you will participate. And again, if you have any questions, give us a holler. But it's going to be fantastic. So join us, please. And now I would love to turn it over to Ann Haubrick, our Senior Programs and Grants Manager, so that she can talk a little bit about what's happening with some hotel motel grants.
Thank you, Angie. Once again, I want to say, Vanessa, I'm sure that you're watching this and hope you're feeling better. So we do miss you, and I'm sure that everybody in our audience misses you today as well. Greetings, everyone. I think you all know how much you mean to us, the Regional Arts Commission, artists, arts organizations, audience members, our grant reviewers, etc. It's been a very interesting year for our grant making, and we realize there's a lot of need in our sector. We know that audiences have not returned at the same rate, and that's audiences not only for theater, but for the museums, the visual arts, for poetry readings, for everything. And we understand that there's been a little bit of pain related to that. We also understand that there have been changing priorities of our corporate funders, or that they've left the community completely. And we understand how tough it is. I want to go over a little bit about where we get the money that we distribute, how we distribute our grants to you from the hotel room sales tax. And that money comes from, there's a portion of that tax that we get. And for fiscal year 2024, that revenue has been flat at best. We know that leisure travel has been good. We know that business travel is in recovery, and we know that convention travel hasn't been that great. So we're trying to manage all of that with the money that we get from that tax and make sure that we're distributing it as equitably as we possibly can. Our grants have always been competitive, and we have been trying to simplify that process over the past couple of years since we relaunched the grants in 2020. We will continue to try to simplify and streamline those processes in the coming years. We've got ideas about how to do that with feedback from all of you. And we also know that while they remain highly competitive, they're going to be more competitive this year. And that the reviewers looking at your applications are really interested in the impact that you and your organizations make in our communities. I hope that was a little bit of a good explanation as we go into this next slide. And what you see here is the tax history and the projections. I'm going to ask you for the moment to ignore that 2024 forecast. As you can see, even though the pandemic was back in 2019, when you can see that $6.7 million marker there. And then things started to go down in 2020, return a little bit in 2021, and in 2022, and in 2023, and then that growth has started to flatten. Angie, do you want to talk a little bit about that forecasting process?
I'd love to. So the forecast that RAC receives, and you'll see that 2024 column, that final column says 7.6 and some change, is really based on hotel motel stays for the coming year and conventions, things that are booked, and comes from our partners at Explore St. Louis. So it's a projection, it's an estimate, based on the information that they have at the time. We tend to be a lot more conservative than what the projections showing. And we know there's a lot of volatility just in the world. And, people may be holding on to money a little bit tighter and that kind of thing. So we're conservative when we're estimating. And as you see for 2024, we've received 2.876703 of that projected forecast. Well, it's May. So the chances that we will receive the entire, that we will get to that entire forecast, we believe are not as optimistic as we'd love to be about that. So just, want you all to understand that even though it looks like good and we've got a number in our budget, we have to be very conservative when we're thinking about how we're spending compared to what this projection or this estimate looks like. All right, I'll let Ann take it back.
Thank you, Angie. So let's talk a little bit about demand and budget. So this is a list of the applications and the revenue comparison. So you'll see that in 2022, I just want to remind you that we didn't give new grants in 2020 or 2021. We just distributed funds to those multi-year pledges that we'd made in 2019. So in 2022, we received 303 applications, 219 grants were awarded, and that was for a total of $1.15 million. In 2023, we nearly tripled our grants budget because we had such a great year in 2021. And we decided that rather than saving that money, that we would distribute it in grants. And we made that very strategic decision because we knew that there was so much need and we wanted the community to be able to reap the benefit of that money at that time rather than saving it for a rainy day, even though all of these days can be a little bit rainy. In 2023, we had an application increase of 43%, and I think that's thanks in large part to the marketing team at RAC. People are learning about us that may not have heard about us. We're simplifying our processes and removing barriers for applications. So I think that those are reasons that we're seeing more applications. Along with that application increase, we had that budget increase. So we were able to make a solid number of grants in 2023 to the tune of $4.5 million. 350 grants were awarded. And then in 2024, our revenue growth is down. Our applications continue to increase by 30%. And it's really unfortunate that we're going to have to say no to a lot of you this year. That's both individual artists and organizations. And it doesn't mean that your applications scored poorly, but it just means that we have limited funds to distribute. There's no easy way to say that to you. And we take that very seriously. And Angie's going to talk a little bit about in a few seconds, I hope, about what we're doing to diversify our funding so that we can get more money out the door to you. But I want to say to you that if we say no to you this year, if you have an eligible application, we want you to come back to us if you were turned down, or if we said yes to you, it doesn't mean that you can't come back. We want to be able to provide as much support to our sector as we possibly can, because we believe in what you do on many different levels, and on that economic driver level, because art is so important, because the arts can heal a community, and we really like everybody in our sector, and you're a great group of people. So that's what I have to say. I also, one more thing before I pass it over to Angie. It's also been very important to us, and our legislation, the way that we are incorporated, says that we have to spend so much on grants and only a small percentage on our administration. And we continue to do that and spend less on our operations and administration than we do on our grants and getting that money out the door to you. Know that you can ask questions of the grants team anytime you want to. And I look forward to talking to you more very soon. Angie, take it away.
Thanks, Anne. So I am going to talk about diversifying revenue, but first I'd love to share with you a little bit about what's happening with ARPA for the arts funding. So the American Rescue Plan Act funding that RAC was really fortunate to receive because of many of you, quite frankly, and the groundswell of advocacy that happened, especially in the city. It's being spent, it's being invested and infused out in the community, and we're loving the results and hoping that you all are as well. And thank you again for your work to advocate for RAC to receive this funding in the city. So I know I said it, I'll just say it maybe in a little bit of a different way. This money came from the city of St. Louis. We did not receive funding from the county. So when I am talking about ARPA for the arts, it's very specific to what's happening in the city of St. Louis, because that's where the funding came from. So we have been able so far to distribute 3.49 million. So that happened in 2023 for income and revenue replacement for artists and arts organizations. That's done. That money's again spent, invested, infused into community, and hopefully helping a lot of folks, or did help a lot of folks at the time. And next up is the St. Louis Mural Project. And you can check out a little bit about what's happening on that on our website, with lots more to come, because there are going to be 28 murals created in the city of St. Louis in the 14 wards. So 14 wards, each one gets 2 murals. Site selection and the whole process is happening now, artist selection, and creation will begin soon. So start looking around for these new exciting murals that are meant to really ground and create some history in each of the wards, because we haven't had 14 wards in the city before, and beautify our community. So it'll help with placemaking and wayfinding and beautification overall. So we're just super excited about this and checking them all out, because there are a lot of people in the community that are looking forward to seeing these come to life. And then cultural tourism is the last way that we'll help spend this $10.6 million. And there's a lot more to come on that. That's all in process right now. And those funds you'll be hearing more about this summer. They'll be disseminated by summer. So it's a really good thing, again, for the city, for this $10.6 million and how it shaped up. And RAC really, receiving this 10.6 million is the administrator of the funds. So we held them for a little while, and we're happy to pass them through. So again, that great things can happen for artists and arts organizations in the sector.
And I just want to add something to that real quick, Angie, is this wouldn't have been possible if more than 100 arts organizations, leaders in the community didn't put together a letter with all of their signatures on it, all of their names on it, and send it to city and county leaders advocating for money for the sector. That this sector was particularly hit hard during the pandemic because theaters shut their doors, music venues shuttered. So we just appreciate all of the passion and dedication of those 100+ people, but also everybody that took a survey when the city of St. Louis said, how do you want us to spend this money? And so many of you came out, wrote that you wanted more public art. You wanted funding for the arts. So we just truly appreciate everything that everybody did to help make that possible, because it wasn't just RAC, it was also the community. So thank you so much for helping make that possible.
Thank you, Jay. And I agree. Round of applause for all the great support. Just one last thing on the ARPA funds too. We'd be remiss if we didn't say that we were hopeful about county funding as well for all of you who are in the county. There are so many great artists and arts organizations in St. Louis County. So please don't hesitate to continue to contact your elected officials. Maybe we can get something done around ARPA funding. All right. So yes, we're going to talk about diversifying our revenue. Hotel motel tax revenue is good, but it is not good enough. We are not able to support all of you, all of the great artists and arts organizations in community that we want to and need to. And that's why we exist. So we are looking very closely and are being diligent about how we are looking to diversify our revenue. Mainly and very honestly, because we don't want to compete with the very folks that we support. So we don't want to compete with our grantees and the funding that you're accessing and the ways that you're accessing it. So we are looking very hard in terms of our financial stewardship and what that means and how we can access and garner some additional funds. So currently what that looks like is we are looking to some national funders, national grants, and having some success. And having a lot of great conversations. So again, more to come on that, but that's one of the ways that we're kind of looking at our pie in terms of diversification beyond hotel motel revenue. Partnerships and collaborations are also vital to how we move forward. And we believe that public-private partnership is really the way to go. So if you're out there and you can put your money with RAC's money, we can achieve a lot more together in that way. And then we have started a 50/50 raffle. So you can scan this QR code, you can go to this site, RACSTL5050.org, and check it out, buy raffle tickets. There's a whole process that's gone behind this to get it going. And I just want to shout out Jay Scherter, because he has led the charge the whole way to get this up and running. But this is a way that when we're out at festivals and even online on a rainy day in the morning, if you want to buy some raffle tickets, it's kind of a win-win, because the winner, of course, gets 50%, and then RAC gets the other 50%. So again, we're excited about this opportunity and where it takes us, certainly. So the response has been very positive also before, so far, I want to say about the raffle as well. And several of you out in arts orgs have said, hey, how can we support this? How can we help? How can we shout it out at our events? So if you have an interest in that, don't hesitate to reach out to Jay or me or someone on the RAC team. We'd love to chat with you about it.
And the early bird prize, the first early bird prize, are VIP tickets to the Evolution Music Fest. So just throwing that out there.
Thank you, Jay. All right. So exciting and to come is RAC turns 40 next year. 40 already, 40 years have passed by. We've had 40 years of impact in partnership with so many of you and in the sector, and which would not have been possible without the collaboration and the community spirit that's out there. So we thank you and we look forward to celebrating with you. Again, more to come on what some of those plans look like, but we really just are excited about how we're turning 40 and looking back a little bit, but definitely looking forward. So part of that looking forward is we will have a new theory of change. And if you're not familiar with theory of change, it's a process. Certainly, if you think of a strategic plan, but maybe a little more even future thinking, what's your really big goal and what are you going to stand for? What are you going to accomplish in the next 10 years? So we're working on that now and with our commissioners and other stakeholders, and we'll be announcing that later this year and starting it in 2025. There'll be a whole lot that we do that really shouts out the stories of artists, community arts organizations, our community arts training institute, our cats, meow. I'm not one, but I said that anyway. Looking at all that has been accomplished, but also again, forward. And you all have such great stories to tell and share about RAC and maybe how we've impacted you, but also lots to celebrate. So we really look forward to that. We've got some creative collaborations coming up, so you will be hearing about those. Things like limited edition merchandise, etc. But really what we're excited about doing is celebrating with you all what we've been able to accomplish together over the last 40 years and look forward. So with that, I am going to turn it back to Jay, and we're going to maybe kind of close this up and think about questions and answers. All right. Well, I'll
Try that
just
again because I was muted. Let me try that one more time.
I'm sorry.
Thank you to our HR professional, Rita Dillard, who just came in and threw something at me. If you do have any questions, again, put it in the Q&A. If you think of one later, by all means, please send it our way, and we are more than happy to start a conversation with you. So how can you support us? How can you support, RAC? The first and foremost is advocate for the arts and vote for the arts in your local and national elections. It's so important to, talk about the arts in the same way that this city likes to talk about sports. It should be a top conversation all the time in every industry in St. Louis, because the arts can heighten any industry and make it better and to make employees happier. And we all know that, right? We all know that. We are starting a cool new series that we're excited about called Snacks with RAC. And we're going to be doing our first one on Wednesday, June 26th at the City Foundry. We'll be posting this information on our website for you to see. But basically, it's just a way for you to come talk to us in person at our little location down there in the City Foundry. Just have some one-on-one time and just, for us to get to know you and for you to get to know us. So make sure to mark your calendar for that. As I mentioned before, please follow us on social media. We actually have 3 accounts now. We have the Regional Arts Commission of St. Louis Facebook page, where we're going to put industry news, big important announcements, highlighting our grantees and some of the really cool things happening in the city. And then we've got stlouisarts.org Facebook, which is tied to our website, our tourism arm, stlouisarts.org, and as is our Instagram. And something to note about Instagram, we give away a lot of really cool stuff. So please follow us on Instagram because we're giving away some really cool things. We just gave away some John Baptiste tickets, and you know, I would have loved to had those, but I'm ineligible, so that's impossible. Also, sign up for our e-newsletter. We send this out about monthly, and sometimes more if we have really important things to tell you folks, but it's a great way to keep in touch with RAC because we're all busy. And so this is an opportunity for, you know, important news to come to your inbox at least once a month. So right now, what we're going to do is we're going to throw it to questions. And again, we've had some really good ones. The first one I'm going to throw out is it possible for RAC to get more revenue through ARPA? I will throw that to either Ann or Angie, whoever wants to take that one.
It is possible. You know, the city and the county are looking very closely at how they're spending all of their ARPA funds, and there's a lot in the news, there's a lot of conversations, there's a lot of conversations with the alder folks and at their meetings about how ARPA looks and how they're spending it. There's a lot of, I'll just call them strings attached to ARPA funds, which you know, we work very closely with the city, in this case, with the funding we've already received, and the CDA, Community Development Association, through the city, to help make sure that we're in compliance with the ordinance and the bill and all the things and the federal requirements. So it's certainly a process. Again, is it possible? Potentially. Is it probable? I'm not as sure about that. And again, the city and the county have some you know, some budgets outlined about how they're spending the funding currently and what that looks like for them. And it all needs to be out the door by the end of 2026 and actually reported on by then. So just, I hope that answers the question in general. And I'm going to let Ann say a little bit more.
I'm just going to tag on to that a little bit. It's a really good question, Joan and Deborah. It's been tricky working with through the city and the federal government with the allocation of funds. It's not the easiest. It's, if you think RAC is bureaucratic, they're triple that, and because it is federal money. So we really had to outline very neatly and very strategically what we were using that money for. And right now, the money that we have left is earmarked for tourism. And it's very specific money. So good question.
We had one about funding and trying to understand how our revenue comes in. And the specific question was, are summer months more heavily weighted? And to that question, I can start with that. When the summer months are very popular for hotels and motels, but we don't see that money immediately. What happens is that they have to collect that money on a quarterly basis that we then get later. So we won't see a summer boom, for instance. We won't see that money for several months. The money we're getting right now is from previous months. So it is kind of difficult because we won't know how great the summer was for several months. And if anyone else wants to tack onto that, please do. Fair enough. All right. We had a question about the administrative costs as a percentage of our budget. And Ann, if you would speak to that, because we were literally talking about this a little bit ago, of just how important it is to us to keep our administrative costs low, and also that we have to by state statute.
You know, I believe, Jay, I think we can only spend 15% of what we take in on administration, but I really have to look up that exact number. I don't have that at my fingertips. But Jay, are we going to be publishing the questions that we don't answer, or responding to the questions we don't answer today later?
Yes, yes, we can absolutely. Any that we don't get to or need to have a little bit more research on, then we can 100%
Yeah, because
some of those questions.
that's a good question, Robert, and I really want to make sure that we answer it truthfully. So we will make sure that we publish that, and you'll be able to see that the response to that question.
Someone asked if the artist who got the mural grants hasn't been listed. We have not put that information out publicly. We are going through the process of securing all the paperwork for all of the murals and the locations. Once all of that is done, we will make a very grand announcement to the community about the artists that were selected, the locations that were selected. You know, when we made this initial announcement about the St. Louis Mural Project, you know, it was very clear this was a very popular thing. You know, we got a lot of news coverage from it and a lot of people interested. So we're really excited to announce who's going to be putting up these murals and where they're going. So that will be coming very, very soon. You know, just like everything, you know, paperwork is fun. All righty. Looking at some of these other questions here. How can artists be involved in the planning for the 40th anniversary? Right now, we are still coming up with some different things regarding the 40th, and certainly we want community engagement. We want to hear from artists, arts organizations, arts programs about the impact that RAC has had on them personally or as an organization. So we're going to have a collection of a lot of, you know, videos and testimonials and just different things from over the years that we can collect ourselves and put in one spot that people can look at those and enjoy them. We had a question about the Arts and Health Symposium. It says, why are we having to pay for the Arts and Health Symposium, and why is it replacing Cultura? Well, I will say it is not replacing Cultura. We are just doing something different this year. And Angie, do you want to talk just a little bit more about the strategy behind what we're doing?
Sure. So because we're doing some different research and because we've got some speakers that are coming internationally, there's a lot of meals and things like that that are also included. That we're going to have the lounge again for kind of a breakout area, quiet or a take a break area, brain break during the Arts and Health Symposium. So, you know, we're just needing to charge that nominal fee in order to cover some of RAC's expenses. As we explained, you know, things are just a little different this year in terms of the hotel motel funding and that kind of thing. So it just helps us cover our costs.
There was a few questions about people that were unfamiliar with CIC and where we're at. It's the Cortex complex. If you know where IKEA is, we're just a chip shot away from IKEA. So we have a co-working space here. But again, we're opening up the City Foundry as a place that people can engage and interact with us in person. And the Snacks with RAC will be once a month right now is what we're planning on. But again, we're always available via email that we can start a conversation and then, you know, meet with you as needed. You know, so that is just to clear that up for a few people.
Jay, I'd like to piggyback on what you just said because we have a second round of artist support grants that will open up on July the 5th of this year. And so during the month that'll open up on the 5th, and the deadline is what, Lee?
August 2nd. Yeah.
August 2nd. Thank you, Chloe. The deadline for those artist support grants is August 2nd. So if you were waiting to apply for an artist support grant until now, or if you didn't get one the first round, we invite you to apply. But in preparation for that, the grants team at RAC will be holding office hours at the Foundry on Tuesdays in July. So that those will be from 3 to 6 p.m. on July 9th, 16th, the 23rd, and the 30th, if there's the desire. So please, you know, come see us there if you have questions about your artist support grant, and check out the space at the Foundry.
Great. I will just wait for a few more. Thank you so much again to everyone that has attended today. We really appreciate it. Again, this is being recorded, so we will put this up so you can view it later, or if you had to duck out early, we appreciate it. We have a question. I'm making sure so Deborah, yes, Rax Delmar location has been closed and it has been sold. So that is no longer our building. Lamont asked, how are grants portioned out to various categories? So I think, how do we determine program support, the organizational support, and then artist support?
That's a good question. It is a lot of strategic planning. We look at the forecast of what we expect to have in the kitty. And then we look at that need in the community. And then we decide as a team, the whole RAC grant staff and the commission, it has to be commission approved. So then we make a recommendation about how much money goes into those organizational support, the artist support, and the program support. That does switch up a little bit every year. And I will say that typically the organizational budget for grants is a little bit larger than those individual grants. Because we know that those arts organizations have the ability and the capacity to hire artists. So that's the thinking in that, but it does switch up every year, and we do put a lot of thought into that budgeting process.
Quick question of, when will folks know about grant allocations this year?
The commission will meet on June the 20th to approve the grant applications that were submitted for the organizations and the program support. And so you will hear in the days following June the 20th.
All right. Again, thank you to everyone that joined us today. We truly appreciate it. We appreciate everything you do in this community. You know, we are so thankful that we have such a wonderful, you know, wonderful group of people that just, you know, support the arts, support what we do. It's an honor. And so thank you again. If you do have any follow-up questions, you can email info@racstl.org, or you can email any of us. But we'll leave it there. And we hope that everyone has a great rest of your day.